is going to make you one with the God of signs and wonders and miracles.
Direct from the Morris Cerullo Chicago School of Ministry, it's time to experience signs, wonders, and miracles. Are you ready for divine impartation? One that will totally destroy the works of the devil and equip you to be all that God says you can be? For over 50 years, the prophetic truths Morris Cerullo has released continue to be powerful, life-changing truths. God has called you into the ministry. This is your time to produce the proof that Jesus Christ is alive and that He is who He claims to be.
We're going to make a journey. We're making a journey. You want to come with me? I want to discover why a church 2,000 years ago, in 300 years, could reach the entire known world. And here we are, 2,000 years later, half the population of this world has never even heard the name Jesus. Don't get mad at me, will you please? Something's wrong with you. Something's desperately wrong. We have got to have an incredible breakthrough where once again we, like the Apostle Paul, can say like he did when he went to Corinth. He said, I'm not coming to you here with enticing words of man's wisdom, but I'm coming here to face you in the demonstration of the power of the Spirit of the living God. Somebody make this journey. Let me go just a little further with this. The word wonder is translated from the Greek word teras, T-E-R-A-S. And it refers, when you talk about a wonder, God doing a wonder, you're talking about something that goes beyond the laws of nature. Somebody shout supernatural. Somebody say, I want to be one with the God of signs and wonders and miracles. Oh, don't patty cake him. Give him a good clap offering. Now, I'm not trying, Bishop, I'm not trying to take us back. I'm trying to catapult us into the future. Signs, wonders, God manifested throughout the ages. If you read your Bible, you'll journey into this realm of supernaturalism. I'm going to Israel in a few days. Many of you are coming with me, but let me tell you something. I don't know if you're ready for this or not. All the preaching in the world will never reach Israel. I've been going to Israel for 52 years in a row. consecutively. There is only one thing that will ever turn the heart of the Jew back to their God. And they are the most sinful people in the world. There's not a more sinful country. Don't tell anybody I said that. But it's true. Their abortion rate is the highest. Their homosexual rate, they have dances on the streets with 100,000 homosexuals. I'm talking about God's people. Prostitution rampant. There's only one thing, Kenny, that will ever touch Israel. If once again they see the God of their fathers, not read about him, not study him from the Torah, not listen to the rabbis and the priests in the synagogues. But there's only one thing that will reach Israel and turn their hearts back to searching, and that is the manifestation of the God of signs and wonders and miracles. God manifested himself through signs, through wonders in Israel. Or I should have said to Israel. Did you know that the Jew is chosen? No, you didn't. You don't believe that, do you? Anybody here believe that the Jew is chosen of God? Did you know God never had himself a people until one day he looked down and he saw the Jew and he said, "You are going to be my people. I am going to be your God." See, the world never did know God. They never did understand God. They never did know that there was such a thing as a living God. They served the sun. They served the moon. They served the stars. They worshiped what they didn't know. Then one day God reached down and he raised himself up a people. He chose them. And do you know how the Jew knew that God, who was calling them and chose them, did you know how they knew that he was the true God? The sun was not God. The moon was not God. The stars was not God. The rain was not God. But they knew that this God that reached down and chose them was the true God, was the living God. Why? Because God manifested himself. He manifested himself. The first thing God did for Israel, we're going to drop this in just a moment, but the first thing he did for him was he gave Israel his name. That's important. You got to know to whom you belong. Oh my God. Somebody say, "I am one with the God of signs and wonders and miracles." Oh my God, do you have any idea of the place God is going to raise you up to in the next few days here? God manifested himself through signs and wonders to Israel. First, you remember how he led them through the wilderness? By a pillar of fire by night and a cloud by day. Read it in Exodus. How he fed them manna supernaturally from heaven and supplied them water to drink out of a rock. I'm talking about the God of signs and wonders and miracles. How do you get water out of a rock? I'm talking about the God of the earthquake, the fire, the smoke on Mount Sinai. I'm talking about the God that caused the sun and the moon to stand still. I'm talking about the God who through Jesus healed the sick, opened the eyes of the blind, unstopped the ears of the deaf, raised the dead. I'm talking about a God of signs and wonders and miracles that multiplied the loaves of bread and fish to feed the multitudes. I'm talking about a God of signs and wonders and miracles who spoke the word, and the winds and the waves and the sea obeyed him. I'm talking about the God of miracles that led Peter to walk on the water, sent darkness upon the land for a space of 3 hours, sent an earthquake, rent the great veil in the Holy of Holies, raised Christ from the dead, manifested himself through signs, wonders, miracles. Oh, somebody give him a clap offering. Somebody. The God that you and I serve is a God of purpose. I don't know whether you can go this far. Somebody say purpose. See, God did not do these things without a purpose. Now, you didn't hear me. You didn't hear me. God manifested himself for an incredible divine purpose. And if ever there was a day, and if ever there was a time when the world is crying out for the manifestation of the true God, the living God, it's now. We won't solve the crisis in Egypt. We won't solve the crisis in Syria. We won't solve the crisis in the Middle East. But I'll tell you one thing. There is a God who is not about to let this world that he created somebody say purpose. He chose to reveal himself through signs and wonders in order to fulfill specific purposes. I actually feel sorry for those who don't believe that it's no longer necessary for God today to reveal himself and manifest himself. I wondered why God manifested himself through signs and wonders. And then God gave me 10 reasons. I'm going to give them to you very quickly. 1, he proved that he was the only God. There was no other God beside him. And I tell you tonight that our God, the living God, is the only true and living God. There is no other. There are images. but there is none that is real except our God. And he manifested himself through signs and wonders to bring glory and honor to his name. He manifested himself through signs and wonders to confirm his word. He manifested himself through signs and wonders to instill a fear of himself in the hearts of people. He manifested himself through signs and wonders to deliver his people out of the hands of the enemies. How many times did this God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob come to the rescue of his people and deliver them from their enemies? Six, he came to supernaturally provide for his people. Oh yes, oh yes. I have gone back this past week and read prophecy after prophecy after prophecy that God's servant warned the world about the financial crises that were coming and that we're experiencing right now. The true test of a prophet is what he speaks will come to pass, but God manifests himself to us in supernatural signs and wonders to provide for his people. Yes, if he has to open the heavens and rain manna. Sakaba. 7, he's the God of signs and wonders and miracles to distinguish and set apart his people from those that are in the world. There's a division between you. I said there's a division between you. You're not of this world. Oh, you didn't hear me. You are not of this world. So stop trying to mimic it. Stop trying to be like it. Let God have his way in your life. 8, to fulfill prophecy. 9, to warn of coming judgment. 10, to finally bring judgment on his believers. On his unbelievers. 10, we could probably find 20. The God that you and I serve is a God of purpose, and he demonstrates and manifests himself with visible signs and wonders and miracles for a divine purpose. God has always dealt with his people through the manifestation of signs and wonders and miracles. God manifested himself through, somebody say, signs. To confirm his promise, remember, to Abraham? God gave Abraham the land of Canaan for an inheritance. Abraham asked God, do you remember? By what shall I know that I shall inherit it? And then God manifested himself. You say, how, Brother Cerullo? Well, you read it in Genesis 15. What God did was he released his presence And Abraham watched as a flaming torch and a smoking oven, and God passed between the pieces of the sacrificial offering. God walked through the pieces of the sacrificial offering as a sign. Abraham, I'm entering into a blood covenant with you. And now you can see the visible manifestation of my covenant with you. Those pieces of the sacrificial offering were a sign. God chose to reveal himself to Moses. Somebody say, through a sign. I didn't hear you. On the wilderness of Mount Sinai, as he was tending his father-in-law's sheep, Moses saw a strange sign. Oh God, anybody here want to be one with the God of signs and wonders and miracles? He looked out across, just picture it in your mind for a moment. He looked out across the rugged terrain and he saw a bush burning. In the midst of that bush, there was an incredible blazing fire. But the bush wasn't consumed. Somebody say, a sign. He tried to determine the source of this experience, why the bush was not consumed. And Moses decided he'd go up and have a look. He said, Exodus 3, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn. And what Moses saw was a supernatural manifestation of the divine presence and the very glory of God. It was the angel of the Lord. It was one of those supernatural manifestations of the pre-incarnated Son of God who manifested himself in the fierce, burning bush. Here's this man, Moses, coming up to investigate. And God spoke out of the bush. Burning bushes speaking? Somebody say, I want to be one with the God of signs and wonders and miracles.
This is your time to experience signs, wonders, and miracles. So pick up the phone now and call the toll-free number on the screen for your gift of any amount. Brother Cerullo wants to send you his anointed messages recorded live from the Morris Cerullo Worldwide School of Ministry in Chicago.
God manifested himself for an incredible divine purpose. And if ever there was a day, and if ever there was a time when the world is crying out for the manifestation of the true God, the living God, it's now.
As you know, Victory Today can only show you the tip of the iceberg from the anointed prophetic messages spoken by Brother Cerullo. That's why he has prepared a complete 3 DVD set of his powerful, life-changing messages that will allow you to experience the same move of God as witnessed by all those who attended the meetings. These DVDs are priceless, but for your gift of any amount, These messages will be sent direct to your home. So call now. Your love gift will help keep Brother Cerullo on the front lines in the nations of the world, building God a victorious army of nationals 20 million strong by the year 2020. And as a bonus, each DVD will include special praise and worship performances from anointed musical guests such as Emil Bridges, Cindy Murdoch, Dr. Alvin McKinney, Londa Larman, Lindsay Hammond, Earl Harrigan, Noel Robinson, LaDonna Taylor, Teresa Davis, and Diane Sussick. Call now and request Morris Cerullo's anointed messages on God's signs, wonders, and miracles for your gift of any amount. Don't delay. Become a proof-producing witness that Jesus Christ is alive and that He is who He claims to be. Call toll-free or visit mcwe.com.